Welcome to Awesome Video Game Memories, where we talk about awesome memories about video games. I'm Ryan, and the game we're going to talk about today is Super Star Wars for the Super Nintendo! So what do you get when you combine Contra and Star Wars? Well, it would be really cool to see Bill and Lance shooting stormtroopers, but you get Super Star Wars, one of the premier action games for the Super Nintendo, now on the PlayStation 4. So I do have to admit, even though I'm an 80s kid, I was a bit of a late bloomer to the Star Wars movies. I didn't see Star Wars until I was about 13 in 1994. Like, I knew about the movies, but my cousin was like, dude, you gotta watch Star Wars so we can talk about it like with everybody else, man. So I went to my local library, I rented the movies, but I was only able to rent episode 4 and episode 6. So I saw them in a different order. I saw A New Hope, Return of the Jedi, then Empire Strikes Back. And actually, regarding the Super Nintendo Star Wars games, I actually played the Empire Strikes Back first because I saw the cover at my Ma and Pa video game rental. I should just try this game out even though I haven't seen the movie. And I was confused as shit what was going on. But luckily, I actually saw A New Hope before I played Super Star Wars, and I was like, whoa, wow, this is like really different from the movie. I mean, at least we don't see, you know, Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru's charred corpses in a cutscene. That would have been pretty fucking morbid. So in this game, you take control of Luke Skywalker, and then after you meet Obi-Wan, you get Luke's lightsaber, which isn't very strong until, you know, you play The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. And then later on in the game, you can play as Han Solo or Chewbacca. So the game is very much like Contra, but only Star Wars, and this time you have like rapid fire if you hold down the Y button, and you can upgrade your gun about like 5 times from the regular laser, and then after that you get homing missiles, and then you have the super duper plasma. And the game does follow the movie for the most part, although they take a lot of liberties, like the scene where Luke meets C-3PO and R2-D2 is a lot different than in the movie. Like in the movie, you know, he buys them with his Uncle Owen from the Java Sandcrawler, but in the game you see Luke looking over them while their, you know, escape pod crashed. And in the movie, you actually just buy C-3PO and R2-D2 from the Sandcrawler, but in the game, you fucking force your way through the Sandcrawler and shoot up all the fucking Jawas, and like, now I've rescued them. This is like Star Wars, the hardcore, violent version, or Star Wars Contra version. And what is really cool about this game, you get these Mode 7 levels, like, you know, in the movie, like, you just, like, take the sand speeder, but in the game, it's really badass Mode 7 mode, and especially when you get to the Death Star surface, it looks really fucking cool in Mode 7, man. But I do gotta admit, this is a very, very hard game. Like I said, Star Wars Contra. Although you do get a life bar, the enemies can drain it pretty fast, and you have to square off against these really, really hulkingly huge-ass bosses in the game. Yeah, I don't remember fighting that guy in the cantina. You know, I would have just, like, fought those guys where they were like, he doesn't like you. Well, yeah, like, having to fight those guys as bosses would have been pretty cool. Although it would have been cool to play as Obi-Wan and be like, I can press up and A and like, oh, you don't need to see his identification. Yeah, it would have been pretty cool to fight Darth Vader as Obi-Wan, but you still lose no matter what. And I would have actually preferred a Death Star level where you actually, you know, you have Princess Leia like right next to you, and then you have to, like, you know, swing across the tractor beam and stuff, but they kind of left that out. Well, the tractor beam level is still there, but it's more of a Contra type level. And I do admit the renditions of the Star Wars music in this game are really, really good. But my problem with this game is, you know, there's not a lot of variety in the music. Like, they play, like, the Death Star music while you're on Tatooine, like, over and over again. I mean, there's a lot more Star Wars music you can use, LucasArts. And unlike Rebel Assault and X-Wing, the Death Star levels in this game are actually pretty easy. Like, the first Death Star level, you have to, you know, destroy the towers, kind of like in the arcade game and in X-Wing, but they're pretty easy to destroy, and, you know, the Mode 7 graphics looks really cool, and the trench looks awesome for 16-bit. Like, I think the trench here looks better than the one in X-Wing and Rebel Assault. And yeah, it is actually pretty easy to, you know, fire photon torpedoes and win the game. But with Super Star Wars, if you want to replay the levels, you kind of have to use like the level select code that uses both controllers. Yeah, so Super Star Wars, has it stood against the test of time? I've played it again recently, and I definitely have to say yes, it definitely stands the test of time. While it does follow the movie for the most part, it does have to add in a lot of extra stuff because, you know, the transition from movie to game, like, you know, the game has to be a lot longer than the movie, and yeah, it definitely is a very difficult game. I'm not gonna say it isn't, but yeah, it's a very fun game. And it's very fun to play as all three of the characters, Han Solo, Luke, and Chewie. And it definitely should provide a really good challenge. It's not super difficult, but it's definitely not super easy. And it's a lot easier than Super Empire Strikes Back. You know, surprisingly, like, while you can't get this game on the Nintendo Virtual Consoles, you can actually get this game on the PlayStation Network to play on the PlayStation 4, and it actually plays really, really well. Alright, so that wraps up this episode of awesome video game memories about Super Star Wars, and if you have any memories about this game, make sure to leave those in the comments below, because I definitely like to read them. And you can follow me on social media on Twitter at @RyanMolina, and also at our main BattleGeek Plus account at BattleGeek Plus. And if you want to see me and the BattleGeek Plus crew play some games live, you can follow us on Twitch at twitch.tv/BattleGeekPlus, or here on YouTube Gaming. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed that episode, and may the Force be with you. Hey guys, want to support us? You can support us at patreon.com/BattleGeekPlus, because every dollar helps us bring you a better show.